Welcome back to another video on the channel. Just wanted to say thank you for almost getting us to 300 subscribers. The support has been awesome. Today I'm going to be going over our custom tactics that I used this past weekend to get Gold 1. It's the team that I'm currently going to be using. This upcoming weekend league, we just picked up Player of the Month, Lionel Messi. Costed about 2 million coins. Super expensive. Rinsed most of my team for this, but I used to run Gold Messi up top, and now we'll be running him at cam. So we run with the Ter Stegen in goal. We have Kleiber at right back, Jesus Navas at center back, and then we also run Yuri Betrice as the other center back. Shout out to Foot Crunch. Mendy at left back, super basic. We got Robin at the wing, Kappa as our first CDM, and then Hazard as our left mid, Suarez as our striker, Cruz as our secondary box-to-box mid, and then Messi runs as our cam. So when you set this team up, in order to get all of your chemistry, we run a 4-5-1. It gives us the best chemistry. We get a lot of green links, a lot of yellow links as well. So that helps out. The only person that's off cam is Suarez and Yuri, but it doesn't really affect them in game. Then when we go to custom tactics, I only run one tactic all game, and that's defensive. So I run balanced defensive style, just because any other type, if you use pressure, heavy touch, press after possession loss, or constant pressure, your players will get drained. So it's best to keep it at defensive style, unless you're losing by like 3 or 4 goals later on down the game. It's always good to just keep it at balanced. I don't really use wide players that much. I don't like to play off the wings. I'll probably run some through balls down the middle, or down the sides, down the middle, depending on the situation, with Robin and Hazard. But for the most part, you just want to keep your width at 4. And then depth, most players, they say don't keep too much of a high line. If you're really good at defense, then it might be good. If you're someone who's starting up, maybe a goal 3 player, goal 2 player, 5 depth is probably best for you. It keeps your players a little back, and it's not a drop back style, but it keeps your midfield intact. It also keeps your center backs and right backs and left backs, full backs as well. In terms of offensive style, there's a lot of different areas you can use. Balance, obviously, you never want to use that. It's never going to help you. There's possession, which if you're someone who really likes to pass the ball around and build up, that's good, but even then I've seen that that's not the best. Fast build up obviously is going to drain your stamina, and then by the 75th minute, everyone's going to be passing you despite how fast your players are. So long ball's the one to go. It keeps your players in check, especially if you're running balanced defensive style. When you have an offensive style in long ball, your players will only be using most of their energy in the offensive part of the game, and therefore you won't really have to struggle about stamina, and you have 3 subs. So someone like a Messi, for example, who might lose stamina over time, you can always sub in another cam. For width, like I said before, I keep it the same with defensively and offensively, so at the 4. Players in the box, this one's kind of weird. The more you put, the more these players will go into the penalty area. Obviously, that's what it says, but also to the other half of your opponent's team. So 6 is the best one to use for me. It gets the players driven, especially once you go into instructions. You really keep that well as well. Corners and free kicks, in this FIFA, we've noticed that you really can't score corners that much unless you're lucky. A certain cross. I also like to play it with just a pass first because I don't want anyone to hit me on the counterattack. That's also a safer area to use it. And then free kicks, 1, obviously you're just going to go for straightaway free kicks in this game. It's a little more easier if you're able to bend them. So I just keep it at 1. Next up, we go to formation. In terms of what we have, we obviously keep our center backs where they are, and our fullbacks as well. Cruz and Kappa, they stay back as CDMs, and I'll go more into the instruction depth of it. Messi stays up at cam, and then you have Hazard and Robin on the wings. Whenever you have a cam, and whenever you're playing a 4-2-3-1, you really want to make sure that person can pass the ball, but also be able to attack. You don't have to worry too much about defense because if you have 2 CDMs, you'll be fine with that. And then it would be smart to have a pacey striker, but Suarez, just because of his shot power and his ability to really just stay on the ball, I like to keep him up top. So then we'll go into play instructions. Goalkeeper, keep balanced all around. I've seen some people go cautious with crosses, couple of crosses, and so forth. Or sweeper keeper. Balance is probably the best when you have someone like a Ter Stegen, or an Oblak, or an Alisson. It's pretty fine. In terms of center backs, obviously you just want to keep them on stay back while attacking. Any other thing, it's going to waste their stamina. You don't need that. Even when you put interceptions, it's just not needed for center backs. For my fullbacks, I actually put them at stay back while attacking. I don't really use them for attacks, just because I don't really I'm comfortable enough to have that many people up top. I don't trust my defensive styles. Like I said, I was a gold 3 player, became a gold 2 player, and now a gold 1 player. And then I run overlaps. So that essentially means that they will go around the players instead of going underneath. That way you're always keeping the wings occupied. In terms of our CDMs, cover center, it's always huge. You want your defensive position on cover center. You don't want players to go run through the middle, especially if you're facing like an Mbappe or so forth. Cut passing lane is always a great thing to have. It will take a little stamina off of them, but it really helps when you're facing someone who's taking small passes, short passes, and that ability. And then in the beginning, I had both on stay back attacking, but as I've gotten more comfortable with just running one and with 4 in the back, and not having to worry about any of them pushing forward, I've kind of let Cruz take that box to box CDM role, where sometimes he'll go up all the way into the box, and then sometimes he'll just sit back. Kappa at the same time, even though he's on stay back attacking, depending on the player's work rates, you might see them move up front, and that can always be a situation. But both of these guys will come back as well. You always want to keep at least one, maybe a Conte or so forth, someone who can sub in maybe 75th minute just to make sure you can close out the game. And then in terms of your cam, because Messi's not someone who can defend, I put him on stay forward, so he doesn't even come back on defense if needed. That way, if I'm on a break, him and Suarez are there and they're already ready to go. Support on crosses, just get them into the box to get the player to really drive in there. And then positioning freedom just sticks to position, and interceptions, because they're a cam and they're not playing defense, I don't really like to put anything on there. For your wing players, Robin and Hazard, for me, for example, come back on defense. You want them to play defensively. Someone like a Cucurella is really great for that. And then sometimes I'll play Dest, Future Stars Dest on the right wing. Helps me on defense, especially because of how pacey he is into the box. And then get into the box is always great to have. Gets these players to cut inside, maybe on rebounds and so forth. Hazard does a great job of this when you have 2 players, you're drawing in the fullbacks, you're able to get that third player to kind of run outside. And then Suarez getting behind the stage control, stay forward. I've seen a lot of people do drift wide just to kind of get their center backs to come out. You could do that. That's a great tactic, but I just like to kind of drive those balls down the middle. And that is essentially it. I don't have any other tactics that I run. Maybe the one thing I'll do is like do press after possession loss, and then the subs as it goes. El Shaarawy comes in for Suarez. Mahrez will come in at the end of the game when Messi can't do it anymore. And then Dest and Alessandrini are the 2 that come in for Robin when needed. Alrighty, take care.